In the last study, we dealt with the Israelites coming out of Egypt and its application to us. What does it mean for us to come out of Egypt? Following Jesus is not an outward show. It is not about what we do, what church we go to. It's not about the position we hold. It's certainly not about what other people think about us. But it is about what is going on in our heart. Outwardly, many of us have left other churches behind, Babylon. And we come and follow the truth wherever the Lord leads us. But what is going on in our heart? Leaving Babylon, the churches, that's outward. What is going on in our heart? Do we continue to make progress in our journey coming out of Babylon? Or is there something in the way that hinders us? Is there something that prevents us from making continued progress? Let us turn our minds to the Israelites in the time of Moses, in the Exodus. God had brought them out of Egypt. He had given them great promises. He led them miraculously through the Red Sea. There is no way that anyone could doubt that God Himself was leading them. Then God provided for them the manna. He provided water. He ensured that their garments and their shoes would not wear out in the wilderness. He provided a pillar of cloud, a pillar of fire by night. God did everything He possibly could to look after His people. And doesn't He do the same for us? He provides us with all our temporal needs. Blessings beyond what we deserve. Blessings often beyond what we know how to deal out correctly. And one of those blessings is the manna. The manna is called the bread of the angels. What a precious privilege for the Israelites to partake of the angels' food. What an amazing thought. And I've thought to myself, if only I could have been there. I would have liked to have tasted what that was already before we get to heaven. That would be so nice. But then I think the odds are against me. Of how many people? 2.5 million minimum. 600,000 men there were, plus women and children. And how many made it into Canaan? 2 that were over the age of adulthood when they left Egypt. Maybe it's better I wasn't there. But the relevance is exactly the same, then or now. It makes no difference. Because their story is given for our learning. And there are many lessons that we will study throughout the course of this conference. How their experience relates to us. How do we know that the Israelites' journey had a spiritual significance for them? We know it has a spiritual significance for us. We already dealt with that. But what about for them? Let's turn together to the book of Exodus. And we'll read there, Exodus chapter 19. What was the Lord's purpose? And this is His purpose been since the fall of Adam and Eve, and is still the same today, and will be until that purpose is realized at His second coming. Exodus chapter 19, and we'll read from verses 4 through to 6. Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me, above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. What did the Lord want? He wanted the Israelites to be a kingdom of priests, a peculiar people. He wanted for the Israelites to be reunited with him. And we can also read in Deuteronomy chapter 32. Deuteronomy 32 from verses 9 through to 12. It says, "For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. He found him in a desert land, and in the waste, howling wilderness. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. As an eagle stirreth up her nest, fluttereth over her young, spreadeth abroad her wings, taketh them, and beareth them on her wings. So the Lord alone did lead him, and there was no strange God with him." The Lord was wanting to lead the Israelites where to? Especially in Exodus, it says, to himself. He wanted to lead them on eagle's wings, bear them up, and bring them to himself. A spiritual journey, because they couldn't have physically traveled to heaven in that journey. It was a spiritual journey to learn what it means to reunite with God in spirit and in truth. And if we consider what kind of people it was that traveled out of Egypt, if we turn to Hosea chapter 11 and read there verse 1, Hosea 11, verse 1. Once again, what the Lord did for them and does for us. "When Israel was a child, I loved him and called my son out of Egypt." God called his son, his daughter, you and me, out of Egypt, out of Babylon. But who else came out of Egypt? It wasn't just the Israelites. God called the Israelites and they came. But who else came out? Wasn't there also a mixed multitude? Why were they permitted to come out as well?